All right, all right. What's up, guys? What's happening? Welcome to the Real Estate Power Play Hour, guys. We come here every Tuesday, 11 o'clock Central, 12 o'clock Eastern Time, and we are rolling today. We have a lot of good information. We're going to go over some really cool stuff. Oh, screen popping up. Okay. So for those who don't know, we have today the man, Marty Grisanti.
What's up,
Right?
Gabe?
What's happening, man? How you been?
I can't wait to talk to the guy that's here today. But no, I'm excited. Excited to be here. We got a great show. It's sunny out in Rochester, so typically that means good things are happening.
Good
That
things
means,
are happening.
you know what I mean?
That means the roofers are getting their stuff done. The
Yeah, it
siding
means
is
work's getting,
on.
yeah,
Exterior
absolutely.
painters.
Yep, exactly. So we
Got
can
it.
get to these last minute flips to get this thing, done and over. But yeah, man, how you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. It's been fun. It's been a lot of energy going on lately within our group. A lot of movement. And so that's why we brought on Brian, because I think we all have we all see what's happening in our marketplace. We all see what's happening in the nation. And you got to have some really cool tools, right? You can't just go around just flipping all the time. Flipping will be around forever, right? But you could be leaving some money on the table. You could be missing out on some good opportunities. And so we wanted to bring on some pros that can help people monetize their assets. And right now we have the man, Brian Gibbons. Brian, how you been, man?
I'm doing great, brother. How you doing?
I am fantastic, man. And we're glad to have you here. We're glad the energy that you bring to the real estate business and what we do. And the thing I like about talking with you and what I'm looking forward to isn't just coming up with new strategies, but just the energy of being creative. I think that's one of the things I really like about real estate is once I figured out that it's more than just flipping, it's more than just holding assets, that there's really the fun side of it is being creative with deals that no one else really sees, right? And how to piece those things together. And so we're excited to have you in here. Before we really start jumping into all the questions, Marty's ready to go, man. I'm just letting you know he doesn't get close to the screen often. But when he does get close to the screen, it's because his ears are bent. And even though he has these headphones, his ears are bent. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your history, what you've done, and how did you get to today?
Sure. Here's my story. I was in the Marine Corps and I got out in 81 and I went to college at St. Mike's up in Vermont. And then after my junior year, I got tired of school and I went out west. And what happened is I started at a job, W-2, and I really hated it. I mean, it was like the worst job out of college. And I made okay money, but I hated being a W-2. I'm a 1099 guy. I am not a W-2. I hate working for somebody else. So anyway, I got in an argument with my boss and he was a real SOB and I quit. And I was at this bar. This is a true story. I was at this bar and I must have had the worst look on my face ever. Like depressed and sad and whatever. This guy comes up to me. He's like 55 years old and he's happy and he gives me an elbow and says, "Hey, who just died?" No, I'm serious. I don't know if you've ever been really sad or upset or whatever and go out in public and people can see that on your face. And he says, I'm sorry, I must look awful. My name's Brian. What's your name? He said, my name is Glenn. But what's the problem? So he read body language really well, in which I was astounded. I didn't know anything about body language or anything like that. And he goes, "Well, I'm gonna ask you one question, and I might be able to improve your day. Just tell me why you're so sad." And I said, "I just got fired, or I actually quit. I quit my W-2." And I went, "Okay. Well, you know that proverb your grandmother says, one door closes, a window opens. Here's a window. You ready? You want a job working with me? I just have one question. And the question is, do you like helping people? Because I only hire people that like to help people." Really, we are in the people helping business.
Right
here
on.
in
Right
real
on.
estate. Okay. So anyway, he said, well, what do you do? He says, I'm not going to tell you what I do. I have an office down the street. We help people. And if you can do two things, have an open mind and show up on time tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock and talk to me for an hour, I'll give you a job, yes or no, right on the spot. I said,
Wow.
what's the pay? I said, I'm not even going to tell you the pay. You just show up. The pay's good. Just show up. So I'll see you tomorrow. And I'm like, who the hell is this guy? Right? I mean, don't we want to shake people sometimes in our business? You know, we got to shake the seller, shake the buyer, shake the private lender, shake the JV partner to be able to get them into action, right? You got to get them into action. So you can't just spill your popcorn out in the lobby of the theater before you sit down. You've got to kind of give them pieces of it, right? You give them pieces so that they act. I mean, that's the part of negotiation that I love. You know, because if you just spill your beans, it's you're not getting anywhere. All right.
100%.
So anyway, I show up, and he says, "Listen, this is what we do. We got this marketing in the back room. We send out about 10,000 postcards a month to people that are in trouble with their houses. And what I want you to do is we're going to set appointments for you, and you get in your car. We'll pay your gas." And we'll give you $500 a week under the table. Now, the year was 1985. What was $500 cash worth back then? I mean, you could do a lot with $2,000 a month.
Yeah.
When you're a young kid, you know, because I was making $350 after taxes with this thing. So anyway, I went on 2 or 3 appointments to motivated sellers that I didn't have to do the marketing for. I didn't have to pay the marketing. They set an appointment for me. I had a beeper. I had no cell phones, you know, just a beeper.
Marty, you know what a beeper is, right?
Yeah, it's like that app on your phone that beeps when
No,
you get a call.
no
Oh,
apps
geez,
back
no.
then, buddy. No
Oh
apps.
man, the 80s,
Yeah.
what a time. What a
Millennials.
time.
You're just a millennial.
No,
You know,
I've
what
seen it
do
on the
you-
VHS tapes. I get it. I'm with you guys.
All right. All right. So here's the big picture. The big picture is 2 to 3 motivated sellers 6 days a week. So let's just round it to 15. 15 times. How many weeks are in 2.5 years? There's 52, and 26 or whatever that is. So that's like 150 weeks.
Math.
How many sellers did I see in 2.5 years?
You got your 10,000 hours.
Yeah, you got it done.
You got your 10,000 hours in. So what did that look like, Brian? So you're in there, you're pounding the pavement.
I'm not pounding the pavement.
Well,
They're
you're getting
setting
appointments
for me.
Yep.
No, they're setting it for me.
Right, but you're going to the appointments. I mean,
I'm
you still
going
gotta sell. You still got to
Look,
sell, right?
I'm the presenter.
Right.
I'm the presenter.
Right.
That's my job. And my number one document was a letter of intent to lease or purchase.
Nice.
And it was a cash or terms offer.
So you're coming with 2 offers: a cash offer or a.
Maybe
What
3.
state was this in? What state was
coming
this
with
in?
3.
Arizona. Maybe
Nice.
3 offers. Maybe 3 offers. Because you guys don't really get involved with terms too much. And I do. Because I can get a seller. One of my quotes was, "We help sellers maximize their equity dollars." Write that down.
Right.
That's our purpose. Our purpose is we help sellers maximize our equity dollars. Flippers don't do that.
Yeah, we look at things typically. What flippers look at things at like one way, right? Just a one cash deal way.
You guys are like car dealers because you're going to bring your car on my lot.
I am encouraged already.
On my lot. You're bringing your car on my lot.
Yeah.
I'm paying for the lot. I'm paying for the electric. I'm paying for all this stuff. And you're bringing a Blue Book car at 20 grand. And that's what Blue Book says it's worth. Right? I'm not going to give you 20, buddy.
Right.
I'm not going to do it. I'm not even going to give you 15. I might give you 12.
Right.
And then
On a good day.
I'm going to negative sell you and say, look, you might as well private sell this thing. We're just gonna give you you're not going to be happy with the number, negative sell it and just try to see if they come back. I said, well, how fast can I get my cash? I mean, you're looking for the guy that's desperate. I'll give you 12 grand today for it. Take it or leave it. And that is really the wholesaling, flipping business, because your profit is at your purchase. Are you helping that person maximize their value of their asset? No. And that's one of the reasons why a lot of people don't like wholesaling, because they feel like they're ripping off the seller. The seller could do better. The seller could do better.
There is a market though for that, Brian, right? There is.
I'm not saying there isn't. No. I'm not saying it's right or wrong.
Right.
I'm just saying it's not right for everybody.
Exactly. Well, it's not right for your potentially for the person that you're talking to, right? But in some cases, it may be. Yeah. But that's what we want to get into, because
what I want to do is to shift your view on talking to a seller. If they've got a beautiful house, 500,000 in upstate in Rochester, or 350, we talked about this doctor's house, right?
Well, let's talk about it, because for the people that weren't privy to this conversation that we had, Brian, just you and I, let's talk about it, because you're right.
We'll set it up.
Over the place.
We'll set it up. Free and clear house, 350. It's worth 350. It's in beautiful condition.
So there's no equity, right, Brian? That's what we were saying.
No, it's free and clear.
I'm sorry. It's free and clear. There's three, but the guy wants 350. He's not going to take anything lower.
But it's worth it.
Exactly.
It's worth the 350.
Sure.
Now, everybody, write down publication 523. IRS. Publication 523. That's the installment sale of a residence or a business publication. I love installment sales. Why are installment sales great? Somebody tell me. Not a quiz. If you don't know, you don't know, but that's fine.
Well, traditionally, you take your equity in installments, right? Like the seller, it's good for the seller so he doesn't get crushed with taxes when he goes to sell.
Right. Well, capital gains, you get 500 free, right? If you're married, 250 if you're single. Then you start paying capital gains, unless you trade it, do a 1031 and you trade it into another thing. But a lot of people 65 are downsizing. Now, what's your favorite thing to say to somebody if you want private lender money? Do you have any what? Do you have any lazy money just hanging around? Or have you lost money in your IRA? Well, it's similar to that. You're talking to a free and clear seller. Is what if instead of you sold it for cash and paid the taxes and the capital gains and all that stuff, what if you were the bank on this property? What if instead of having all your money in Wall Street, you had some money on Main Street? What do you think of that? And see if they're open to that. So, I mean, if you want 350, I'll give you 360 for it, but you pay it on installments over time. So let's say market rent for this doctor's house. How much is it, Marty? Tell me.
350, right? So Oh, the market rent. So on a 350, it's let's say $3,000.
Okay, $3,000. Now, if you buy it on installment, so you got to pay what? You got to pay PITI. I'm sorry, the taxes and insurance on it, because you own it. You're buying it on terms, right?
Absolutely.
So you got to factor in your insurance and your taxes. But let's say that you offer them a payment of $1,800. So you take $1,800, simple and maybe no interest at all, $1,800 into the 360. Now that's going to give you a number of payments, like 230 payments or whatever the number of payments is. You write up a contract that we're going to give you these number of payments that are going to equal $360,000 over the next blank months. You with me? Now, why would they take installment payments instead of chunk cash for their house?
They'll make more money with the potential interest at the end.
There's no interest.
Oh, you're going straight no interest too.
I'm giving them no interest, but I'm giving them a little bit more than they want. So the objection when they come up with, well, what about interest? I've already front-ended the 10,000 interest. I've already done that. It's worth 350. I'm giving you 360 for it. Okay.
Yeah,
so,
no, that's fair.
So anyway, if you had that house for $1,800 a month going out, and you think you can get $3,000 for it?
Yeah.
What's your cash flow before taxes and insurance?
Math. Whatever that math is.
1,200. Oh, come on. 18 from 30. Jeez. All right. I'm giving you a hard time.
I'm a sales guy.
Yeah. Okay, but don't fail basic math too. But anyway, so 1,200 a month. 1,200 a month. You had 10 of those houses. You bought 10 houses on installment sale. 1,200 times 10. Put a 0 on it, Marty. I won't hurt your brain. Okay.
That's a good career. That's what you need.
If you had $12,000, if you had $12,000 coming in, now you have to pay taxes and insurance. But if you had $12,000 coming in, how's your lifestyle, Marty? How's your cat? So you did both. You did a terms deal and a wholesaling deal. You put them together.
And those are everywhere, you think, Brian, right? I think a lot of people are kind of stepping over those, right?
37% of all houses, all residential houses in the United States are free and clear of mortgages.
Mm-hmm. A lot of equity right now that is not being used, or people that do want to sell that, they don't know these methods, right? A lot of these wholesalers,
agents do.
Agents don't, right?
Agents are so illiterate as far as seller financing. Illiterate. Now, one of the reasons why they're illiterate in their training, who can tell me why brokers think rent-to-own sucks, seller financing sucks, all these good things that could be good for sellers, they suck.
Oh, because they're out of business. They're not using their money.
It's hard for them to get their commission.
Yeah,
is the reason.
Yeah,
the agents do not want their brokers do not want their agents talking about creative real estate. So when you talk to a seller, I would go talk to a Keller Williams broker about this and say, I want to do a dog and pony to your sales force. If they have a free and clear house, they can save money on taxes. Do a dog and pony to Keller Williams. Okay.
All
right. And you guys got a CPA that you like that loves real estate?
Oh yeah.
Can you have them help you with a PowerPoint on capital gains tax? And just be able to show that to the agents?
Yeah.
And be able to, because think about it. If you approached me and my house was not for sale, I just got a letter in the mail. I said, we have a new program that will give you payments for your equity and actually give you a little bit more. Would you be interested in selling? Give us a call.
That's a great slick trick. Slick trick. And then, Brian, because I want to really get into it, because I think this is huge, so what would the script look like? When you would walk up to somebody, would you know that the house was free and clear? Like when you would go?
I get a list.
Okay. So you get the list. So let's say, all right, we're going to talk to somebody whose house is free and clear, and they want what they believe the house is worth, and that's fair.
Marty, let's say they're not motivated at all.
Sure.
Let's say they don't even want to sell.
Okay. Right. Let's do it.
Want to sell. So you be dad.
Okay.
All right. And I said, look, I just wanted to talk to you about a financial planning move that we could make with your property.
Okay.
Right? So if you sold it for cash, you get top dollar, you would, but you have to pay all these taxes.
That's true.
Here's a report on capital gains. Boom. Oh, by the way, if you want to learn about tax, go to Investopedia. Investopedia is like the best friggin' site for financial planning you could ever, and it drills it down.
It really is.
And you could give the seller some of this stuff.
Right.
You say, look at these links on Investopedia, and this will tell you a lot about installment sales. I want to get into lease options too, but I want to just fix this little role play that we're talking
Yeah,
about.
let's do it.
I said, so Mr. Seller, I'm just asking, if you sell for cash, you pay the taxes and you pay the cost to sell, which is the agent's commission and the closing cost, all this stuff.
Yeah.
So that might be 8% of your sale. Let's call it 10%. So if you want 350, that's 35 grand, 10% that you're paying to get rid of your house with an agent. Well, what if we could give you 360 for the house? And those payments are over time, and we delay the capital gains. Would that be something worth talking about, or maybe not?
It's worth it. I'd like to
see
talk about it.
See if they open the door. Okay.
Right.
I said, and I got to make you one promise. We're not going to write anything down on paper until I talk to your CPA about it.
See, that was a really slick trick, Brian, that when you talked to me, when we talked offline, was, hey, by the way, Mr. Seller, Mrs. Seller, none of this stuff I want to put down on paper until, we discuss it with your CPA. I think that's just a huge disarmament. It's like, hey, this guy, he's not getting the sale today. He wants to really look out for what's best for us. He's going to actually talk to, Mr. Smith, our CPA. So that's great. I love that. I love that.
Well, think about it. CPAs actually counsel home sellers on creative deals more than attorneys. Believe it or not.
Yeah, I think attorneys probably kill those deals, and then the CPAs probably make them better.
Of course they kill them. Of course they kill them.
Right.
And when I call up the CPA, I say, look, I was talking to your client, and we were talking about publication 523 installment sales, and they were interested in doing an installment sale on their property. I would like to sit down and show you some numbers. I never email anything to CPA. I just go see them.
Mm-hmm.
And I do. And it says, well, send me some information. It says, well, what do you want me to do? Send you the publication 523? You can look that up on the IRS site. We're doing here is helping your client sell at top price, but over time. That's all we're doing.
I think also, Brian, just mentioning that you will talk to the CPA might be all that's needed to even just them going, all right, yeah, I trust you. I'm sure I'm going to get the contract from you. And then when we go to closing, I still have 3 days for attorney approvals. They can look over this stuff. So,
sure.
If they're in and they're sold and let's just say they're motivated, right? Then I think it's an absolute no-brainer that they're going to say, oh, let's put it down on paper. And then, I got 3 days to approve this. My attorney does. And at the same time, I got my CPA to look at it. And as long as it looks good and we know we're all on the same page, then it should be a done deal. So I love that move, because it might be just enough mentioning, hey, let's talk to your CPA to get them to go, all right, I'm sure this is going to be good. So
I don't want to close it without talking to the CPA. And if the CPA gives me some crap, I basically go back to the seller. So your CPA doesn't like this. I'm going to send you some information. Maybe you might want to get a second opinion with your CPA.
Brian, I got a question on this.
Yeah.
How often are you talking to CPAs, the seller CPAs, in this type of transaction?
Every
50% of the time? Every time. It's
the next step.
So
it's the next step is to talk to CPA.
In my perspective, the type of we deal with all types of sellers, right?
Yeah.
So you're typically dealing with houses that
expensive.
These are a different price bracket of where we're in. So
right.
So let's step back for one second.
If you want to do a cheaper house, if you want to do a cheaper house, you do a land contract. It's not really an installment.
Let me set the stage for those who might be listening then. Okay, so if you're new to real estate investing and you're learning this stuff, you join us on Power Play. 1, click the like button if you like what you're hearing. If you have questions, chirp on here. We have questions for Brian. Let's ask some of those questions and get them going. And 2, if you want to just connect with us in other ways, there's plenty of ways in the chat and different ways for you to connect with us. 2, number 1, or the second area is, if you are new to this and you're really trying to grab concept of what Brian's talking about, when you look at marketing and you're looking at marketing for a certain type of houses, I just want to throw this out there that Brian is talking about a specific type of seller, right? And there's good dollar amounts in this type of seller. Again, you need to know your marketing. You need to know where you're looking at buying. If you're going to be buying in areas where the rents are $800 a month, this strategy will work. You might not be talking to the CPA of the seller, though, right?
No.
Right.
The cheaper houses. See, the guardians of the money are the CPAs.
Right.
They're the guardians of the money.
Right.
And what I like is making a big cash flow buy and hold.
Right.
All right. I mean,
So can we ask
over
what kind of
1,000 a
price
month.
range that is? Like what price range are you looking at?
Look at high rents.
Okay.
3,000 to 4,000 a month.
Okay, cool.
Look at that. Look,
Okay.
don't go for the cheap houses.
Okay.
All right. So let's kind of just say expensive houses free and clear that's one strategy. Can we say
Got
that?
it. Got it. That's good. That's
All right.
good. That's where I want to go.
Let's go cheap houses free and
Okay.
clear. Okay. And every single dime and dollar of their retirement is in this cheap house.
Right.
Okay. And when I tell them, and I said, says, look, let's say it's $200,000 house. And let's say that they have very little investments in their IRA. All their money is there. Now, this is a hard thing to do, but it can be done, especially if you have mortgage broker origination contacts.
Mm-hmm.
So it's free and clear. They get a new first mortgage at 80%, and then you take over those payments.
How does that work?
So 200,000, 160 new first.
Got it.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever that payment is.
Okay.
It's cheap money today. You know, I was around 8 to 12% interest. You know, in the 80s, it was. This is cheap money at 4%.
So let's just say we're at 4.75.
Let's say it's 5. Let's say it's 5%, and you're getting that new first on 80%, 80,000.
What kind of terms is that though? That's not a
30-year amortized
traditional 30-year?
Yeah.
All right. So I got a 160 note at 5%.
Right.
30 years is $860 a month.
Now, guess what? The seller gets a new first, but is selling the house to me, I'm buying it subject to. All right. I'm taking over the payments.
Now, is this contingent on the fact that the seller can afford to do a new first, or how does that work? How are you setting that up?
If he can't refinance the house, you can't use the strategy, right? You know, I mean, but most sellers that have a free and clear house, you know, can refinance their unless they lose their job or whatever. But let's just say they can refinance.
I like it.
So we got a new first at 160. Yeah. They get that all cash, and they take a note for the balance.
Got it.
No payments on the note for 5 years. So all you're paying for, this is a buy and a hold or sell on lease option exit. You know, you've got the property. They've got 160 cash. Now, guess what? That's tax-free money. Why? Because it's a loan. Remember, if the sellers refinance and pull 160 out, they pay no tax on that money. And that's a huge selling point for them to go through the hassle.
And no wonder you want to talk to the CPA because, you know, they're going to sell it for you. Really, they're going to really help sell this thing for you.
Yeah, the people that have low income, they don't have CPAs. They go to H&R Block. But the point I'm trying to make here is they're getting 160 tax free because it's a loan, and they're taking a note for the balance with no payments for 5 years. Now I own the property, and it's a nothing down deal. Right?
Okay, so what's up with the 40K? That 40K, you're buying it at that much at an 80% discount? You're doing a subject to, right? You're not giving them any money.
Step one, they refinance. They get 160.
Got it.
Step two, I buy it subject to because I'm taking over that loan.
After they refinance.
After.
Right. Yeah. So we're not 30-year vets, so we want to go slow here because I know I need to hear this maybe twice, 3 times.
No, I'll start over.
Yeah, because Brian, this is really
free and clear house, 200,000.
Wait, go ahead. What'd you say? 200,000.
I'm sorry. Free and clear house, 200,000. They want all cash. They want a good price. I said, look, I can give you a wholesale price, or I can give you a terms price. Which one do you want? And the wholesale price, you know, it's in good condition. It's not a flipping house. Pretty houses that are free and clear, and they get a new first with a note, and you take it over subject to, right, and put it in a land trust. I'm really going to confuse you, Marty. Okay, but that's what you do on the acquisition. Now, It's a nothing down deal for me, and I have 5 years to do something creative for a buyer.
All right. Well, hold on. Wait a second. So we got the 200, we got the free and clear house, and they're going to go terms with you, right? They're not going to take the wholesale, which was 100,000, but they're going to go, yeah, well, we want you to buy it, Marty, for 200,000. Okay, great, Brian, Mr. Seller. What we're first going to do is have you refinance the house.
I wouldn't say that.
Okay, so what would you say?
I wouldn't be so directive with them. I said, look, if you sell it for cash with an agent, you get your price. You're going to pay about 10% to sell. So, you know, you're going to pay 20 grand to sell and you'll net 180. You know, that's a choice. I can get you more money than that. And you got to jump through some hoops. Would you mind jumping through some hoops? So lead them down the path a little bit with that. Because creative deals, it takes a little softer touch than kind of boom, boom, boom. You know, it's a softer touch. So he says, if I get my mortgage professional to pull 160 out of this house for you, and now you got 160 and there's no taxes on that money, would that be something we should talk about? So get to that step. And they say yes. You okay that they're on the negotiation?
Yeah, that's great, because that's the stuff that this is the finesse part,
right?
Where we don't want to skip over, but because right here is where the deal's made,
right?
Truthfully, right? Because we need to walk them down that, you know, the step of
the dominoes have to fall.
Yeah, before we can push them off the plank, so to speak, right? So. All right.
There's a view of selling right there. Push them off the plank. Okay. So so the bottom line here is that we need to get them to say, if we pull 160 out of the house with my mortgage professional, would that be worth something talking about, or maybe not? And then they say yes. So it says, okay, so let's say we get that 160, you're going to get full 100 cents on the dollar for your house. It's a powerful saying, 100 cents on the dollar for your house. You know, because our motto in our company is helping sellers maximize their equity dollars.
Got it.
Okay. That's so important. When they hear that, now you are not this flipper.
Right.
You are more of a transaction engineer that's pro seller. That's what you are.
Question for you, Brian. So we got the $200,000 house. If they sell with an agent, it's 10% to the let's just say with commissions and closing costs,
20 grand out the door.
20 grand out the door. So now they're at 180 now, and then with the taxes, right? Because where does the 160 come from? I'm sorry.
The refinance, new first.
Right. Okay. So, but why is that better than the other one? Because
well, here's the thing. Here's what's going to happen. I'm going to buy it subject to.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to take over the 160. They're going to get a note for the balance. So they're getting full value for their house. They're getting
you're gonna have a note with them for $40,000.
Right.
Which is going to be executed. They're going to get that in maybe 5 years once you do your creative plan.
Yeah. What I'm going to do on my exit is do like a land contract or a lease option exit.
Got it.
Okay. And then I'm going to sell it, right? I'm going to sell it for not 200, but I'm going to sell it for like 220 on the exit.
Right.
Okay.
But that's how they get whole. So that's really what's important for the, for us as the investors to make sure that we know how to sell this to the homeowner so that they are getting everything that they wanted and more. Or as Brian Gibbons, REI Skill says, 100 cents on the dollar for your home. Boom, Brian, keep going, baby.
Okay. All right. I might even give them a little bit more. If they want 200, I'll give them 202, 203, 204.
Just to jump through the hoops with you.
Well, so that they will refinance, get their 160, and I'll give them a note for the balance, but there's no payments on the note for 5 years. And so now I own it subject to with a note, and I have this cash going that I have to pay.
You may need to re-listen to this, guys, a couple different times, because I know you can kind of, it took me maybe 3 years to really understand this, but if you really go back and just re-listen, I think I actually crack the code on asking the best questions to Brian to get the answers that if you are a knucklehead like me, you need. So anyways, Brian, I'm sorry to stop you, but I think that people need to know, you got to re-listen to this stuff a few times. So
that's okay. That's all right. No worries. So here's the exit. Let's talk about the exit. So we've acquired it subject to the note in a land trust. Now we own it, and we need to make some money with it because it doesn't cost us anything to get it. We got 100 cents on the dollar for the seller. We feel good. We're not screwing the seller, right? Now we own it. What are we going to do with it? We're not going to rent it. We're going to seller finance it. Okay. Let's talk a little bit about selling on seller financing. Anybody ever heard of a land contract?
Yes, we've heard about it, but we need to know how to execute it and what it all. But go to the listeners that are 101. What does it mean, Brian? What does that mean?
A land contract to me is like a car loan where you put some money down, you make some payments, and then, or a lease. I mean, not a car. So you make some payments, and what happens at the end of your lease? You talk to the F&I guy at the dealership, and I says, well, what's my choices at the end of this month? I'm at the end of my lease. And I said, you can give us the keys, or you can pay the residual and own it. So that's what a land contract is. You put some money down, you make payments, and then you have a balloon payment. You have this big payment that you have to refinance. So this works well for self-employed buyers. This works well for people that have dings on their credit due to COVID or whatever, could be a divorce, whatever. It's a mess.
Happens
right?
all the time. Let me dig into that real quick. So land contract, is that one where it's a contract?
I'll give you an example.
Go ahead.
Land contracts are similar to contracts for deed or installment land contracts. They're all the same thing. Put some money down, make payments. 5 years later, you got a balloon. Doesn't have to be 5. Could be 10.
But you don't get the deed when you close, right? There's no like, is there, right? So the seller still keeps the deed.
Yeah.
Which is great. That's another reason why you can sell that to the seller. Say, hey, Mr. Seller, you're going to keep the deed. I'm going to give you some money down, and it's at that balloon at that 5 year, whatever it is that you come up with the term there.
Yeah, I'm not buying. I'm selling
selling on it.
Yeah. So you're focused on the seller. We're talking about the buyer that can't buy, and they're going to buy.
Okay, so this is a disposition strategy, not an acquisition strategy.
There you
Got it. So we're acquiring, just like you said, we're going to do the obviously there's some nuance here, but the refinance, you're going to set up a note with the seller. Right. You're going to then buy it subject to, you're going to take over the mortgage payments, and then you're going to sell it on a land contract. And that's a really great way, because for us as the person that has that is now we're not getting in the deed yet until they do what they say they're going to do. And that is at that, 2, 5, 10, whatever term that you guys come up with, that also helps out that initial seller and make sure everybody gets paid and happy, right?
Right. That's one disposition strategy on terms, is the land contract. Some money down, payments over 60 months, and a balloon. Number one. Number two is a lease with option. Now, there were a lot of confusing questions last week about lease options. Okay. And I love contract for option contracts. Contract for option. What does that mean?
Yeah, let's get into that.
Yeah. So if you do a regular lease option, there's 2 contracts. There's a lease and a separate option agreement. Now, what's the scary part? And forget about Texas. I don't even talk about Texas with lease options right now. But most places in the country, if, let's say, the tenant buyer has a brother who's an attorney, and he calls up and says, you got this rent to own, how's it going? Says, I want to get out of it. Well, let me see the agreement. And he brings the agreement to this brother who's an attorney. Says, I can bring you to court and probably get you out of this thing. All right. And there's something called a disguised installment sale. And that's a defense that some tenant buyers use to get out of lease options. Well, if you use it my way, you'll never have that problem, because they never get the option. They get a contract for option. It's called equitable title. And I don't want to go through the legal stuff about it, but we don't give them equitable title. All they have is a landlord-tenant relationship with us in a contract for option that's separate and they will get the purchase. They will get the purchase. We've already created. What I do is I pretend that I never have to see this tenant buyer again because I prepare the sale and purchase agreement ahead of time. I already sign it, and I give escrow instructions that when they're ready to get financing, this is the sale and purchase agreement we're going to go. This is the escrow instructions we're going to follow. Blah 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 blah. So it's like it's already prepared for the sale when they move into the house. And the seller loves that because they don't have to worry about the paperwork down the road. Okay, so now everybody knows what sandwich lease options are, where you lease purchase from the seller. It's not a lease option, it's a lease purchase. And it's a delayed purchase is all it is. It's a sale and purchase agreement with settlement in 5 years, and with rights to occupy with a lease.
So the difference between a lease option and a lease to buy is just there's
No,
no
lease
option.
purchase. Yeah, lease purchase. Lease purchase is I'm going to lease for, and then the terms of the purchase agreement are these. I'm going to lease first and then buy, right? And then the lease with option is you have a chance to buy this.
Got it.
Okay. And the tenant buyer with the contract for option never gets the option in their hand because we don't want them going to court and giving us a headache.
So the contract for option, right? So the buyer is going to get a tenant agreement just like always.
Right.
And then they're also going to get a contract for option, which is that basically saying, Brian, hey, if you do what you say you're going to do,
right,
that we've talked about, obviously different from the lease.
Yeah.
But if you do like what we talked about, you will then get the option to get a purchase and sale agreement from me.
Yeah. You're going to get the sale and purchase agreement if two things happen. You finish the lease, you pay it on time, you're responsible, and you get qualified with a lender.
Okay, so they'll never see a purchase and sale agreement then.
We'll show it to them.
Sure, but they're not going to get it.
No, they're not going to hand it.
They're not signing it. You're not signing it.
Yeah, I'm telling them.
This is huge information. This is like a no-brainer. You need to know this because people will skip over this.
Open escrow. You open escrow. You can have a long escrow. It doesn't have to be a month. It can be 3-year escrow.
Okay, explain that a little bit though. Open escrow. So you're going to get your attorney because your attorney.
No,
states,
well, I don't know about attorney states. You got a title company. Just go see the title manager. Says I want a long escrow. I want to open up an escrow. Here's the escrow instructions. And when this person gets financing, they're going to come in here and buy this property, and this is going to be executed at that time.
Okay, so guys, if you're listening to this, obviously you kind of got to make sure. Title state, attorney state, there might be some nuances, some difference there. No, Brian?
Don't worry about it. If it's an attorney state, go find a young attorney that's not going to die. Not somebody that's 60 years old, but somebody that's like 25 right out of law school, and say, look, I want to do some creative real estate with you. I want to get some long escrows. I want to have, this escrow opened up with you. And when they come in and get financing, this gets executed.
But why even do that? Like, why even do that? Why even go that far? Like, you don't need to, right?
I want to go travel. I don't want to have to worry about if they get financing today and I'm in Italy.
Okay, so that's I guess a thought process, right? But like for someone who's going to be in it day to day, you don't necessarily need to do that. But I get it for you. You don't want to see that seller again.
I highly recommend that they do it. Okay. Because what this does, and then you can put a memorandum against the property saying that there is a contract against the property, and
so you're in a cloud title there.
Of course. It's going to be actually protected with the land trust because we put land trust with lease options, sandwich lease options all the time, and what that does is it prevents the seller from remortgaging or selling the house, and a memorandum, and a performance mortgage. So we do a lot of different things to protect both sides of the transaction. So anyway, well, let's recap here. Okay. Yeah. Terms business. You got like 5 tools. You got like 5 tools to use when you have a seller that's got a pretty house. This is not the ugly house business. right? I'm not ever going to talk to you about rehabbing. I'm not going to ever talk to you about, you know, I could do a lease option on a junker. I could do that, but I don't recommend it because the tenant buyer has to perform, and you got to. It's a little bit of a headache making sure that they do all that work the right way.
I got
So,
some things that I wanted to highlight on this though, Brian. A
sure.
couple things. For those who are newer, who are looking, because I know we're gonna have to wrap up some of this, and I wanted to dig in deeper, but I'm not sure we're gonna have enough time to dig in as deep as we thought. So he just hit on it. I had it in my notes, and you just hit on it.
Okay.
Guys, for those who are newer, there are 3 strategies overlaying each other on this is one transaction. All right. How Marty and I met was because we were doing some creative financing, and we were just part of a group that was doing creative financing with sub twos and seller financing and just working through that. And most people don't know that was just literally on the buy side. Then you look on the sell side, and we're looking at disposition, like Marty was saying, and now we're looking at multiple strategies that we could do on the exit side. Now, why does this matter? The thing that this matters, guys, and those who are listening to this, is that this is where the exciting part comes in. You have to know some of these strategies. We can get into the weeds on some of this stuff. It is literally every single deal is just a tiny bit unique from the last deal. And now we're going, oh man, this is really cool. We could do something else. We can actually monetize our money a different way on this one. Or we're in a different state, or this is something unique for this type of state compared to that state. Arizona is different than Texas, different than New York. I was talking to Marty about some New York deals, and I'm like, holy moly, I didn't know you.
Can I throw a Texas thing out?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I don't want to go into lease options in Texas. They can be done. One of my students, John Jackson, has been doing them forever in Texas. He's really, really good. Look him up. I trained him back in 2002.
Cool.
Okay. Yep. But here's something you do in Texas seller financing. Let's say you got a free and clear house and they're out of state. All right. And they're trying to sell. And you talk to, I saw this, one of my students saw this sign in Texas. I think it was around Houston. And it was free and clear house, beautiful, gated community, everything. And it was an expired listing. And the agent just left town. So he calls the agent and says, hey, you got a number for the seller? And he gets the number for the seller. And he calls the seller out of the blue. I go, he doesn't say, hello, I am this. He doesn't say that. This is what he says. I am standing in front of 1246 Frost Street, and this house is friggin' beautiful. And the guy says on the other end of the phone, that's my house.
Right.
Free and clear house, you got the owner. I said, oh, you were trying to sell it? Of course he's trying to sell this expired listing. He knows the answer. He says, yeah, I really got to sell it now because I'm building a house in Florida. I'm in Florida. I've already paid the builder. I've paid the materials. I need more money. Oh, how much you want for the house? I said, $250. It's worth every dollar. I said, oh, $250. Then he shuts up for like 10 seconds. It seems like an eternity, but he thinks he's got maybe a buyer, right, on the phone. I said, and I use the classic what if. Now, I don't know if you'd go for this. We'd have to do something creative, but what if we could get, how much money you need to finish the house? I needed $160,000 today. It's worth $250. Oh, 160. And if you got it fast, that would work for you? I said, yeah, that would save my ass. I said, well, if I could get you 170 within a week, would that work for you? You want to guess what the next step was? What's the next step?
Do you want me to talk to your CPA about this?
No. No, the hint was something that I said before. Remember the free and clear house 200? What did he do? He got a new first.
Right.
Thanks.
So the next question was, if I could get my mortgage professional in your kitchen tomorrow morning to get some paperwork done, and we pull out 170, and then I give you a note for the balance, and you get 100 cents on the dollar for your house, would that be worth talking about, or maybe not?
That's good.
So
that's the move right there.
He gets 100 cents on the dollar for his house, but a note for the balance. Seller financing.
So he's gonna get his, 170 that he's, he's gonna get the 250.
170 cash, and then a note for the balance.
Right. He's gonna get that, but it's just gonna be a little bit of time. That's all.
Does it solve his problem? Can he build his house now?
Yeah. Yep. 100%.
All right. And then the next closing question is, now, in order to make this work, what's the lowest payment you could take on this, on the second? And I go, lowest? Yeah, what's the lowest possible payment you could take on the second? I need $300. Okay, so we make the payment on the first and a payment of $300 together, whatever that is. You're happy with that? You get your 170 plus $300 a month. It's going to take 5 years note. Okay, so the outgoings, you do the math on a 170 at 5%. That's cheap money. That's $700, $800, whatever it is, plus the 300. So your outgoings to the seller are what, 1,000? Market rent on this friggin' thing is 2,500.
And that's a great way to build up the cash flow. A couple of those is all you need. 10 of those, like you said.
Now,
right
in Texas, you don't do a lease option, but do a wraparound mortgage, and you wrap that whole first and second into a wrap and sell that with a payment of $2,500 to a young doctor with a balloon payment in 4 years. And he's got to refinance it.
Now on a wrap, so, and then we gotta probably have you come back to keep going, because this is unbelievable. But like on a wrap real quick, so same way you buy it, the same way we just talked about, but when you go to sell it, you're selling your original note with the buyer for the remainder, or the entire thing. And then, so that's his mortgage, okay, that he has on that refi
it's a brand new first on a wrap. So you take the first and second, put it in a box, put like a ribbon around it, and that's the wraparound mortgage, wrapping those two mortgages together. Okay, and that's a sale. That's an absolute sale. So in other words, that's an owner, and he's going to pay the taxes, and he's going to pay the insurance on the property. And what you've done is you've solved the seller's problem by getting them immediate cash and 100 cents on the dollar for the house, and you've helped the buyer. And so I think the payment was $2,500 going out, and we got I think he said around 15% down.
Awesome.
Okay, on 250,000. So look, I know you got to wrap it up, but terms business, it's cash or terms. And when you talk to sellers, you say, look, I can give you cash or I can give you terms. Let me walk through the property. You'll get an offer in your hand. No pressure. And if you don't like any of it, you just hang on to it because it's a plan B. You got nothing to lose by having me walk through the property.
Yeah, this is a way to really set yourself apart. If you guys can figure this stuff out and learn it and then start acting on it, that's the most important, the implementing it. You can really, there's a lot of people that know how to be the one tool player, right? And just try to hit everything with a hammer and just wholesale cash offers. But if you can just learn these little techniques, and they're not little, they are life-changing wealth increasing, insanely techniques, then again, Brian, thank you so much for coming on. reiskills.com. If you guys are looking for information, I know he has at some point taken on students. I don't know if he's going to do that, but maybe you're the one that he will take on. Who knows? But he does give a lot. He's a absolute go-giver, and I just appreciate everything. I guess last thing I will say is let's kind of go around. Gabe, what did you take away from this as like a aha moment?
Yeah, I like the exit of it because we know how to acquire through this route. We pick up some of our mobile home parks and stuff like that. We have through the financing route of the seller, and I think that's where people miss it the most. Wholesalers, flippers, stuff like that, they really miss it the most in that area, and really it's just a matter of asking questions. And I think we need to do another episode of this, of like really getting that and just the different options. But when you're looking at the exit side of it, that's where the money's at, right? Like if you're not going to hold on to it for yourself and use it as a rental, because that's what we have. We have these portfolio properties, right? Marty has portfolio properties. But if you're not looking for rental portfolio properties and you're looking to have like notes, which we do have notes also, it's a different exit, right? And you got to know some of these other exits. So that's why I was saying earlier, it's just, I love how there's layering of 3, maybe even 4 strategies all together. And you got to keep in mind, you're still doing the marketing for this stuff. Like you're still figuring out a way to get these type of sellers into your mousetrap. So that's some of the cool things. It's like, I love it. I just love it.
Yeah. Well, let me get both you guys contact details. You've got my email, brian@reiskills.com. It's one of the oldest coaching sites. I started that back in 1998. It's pretty old. But I'm going to leave it like this. We need motivated sellers. I don't care what kind of house they got, but we need motivated sellers. Could be free and clear. Could be no equity. Could be a mess, whatever. But we need motivated sellers. Then we need buyers, and there's 3 types. You guys are used to cash buyers, but there's owner financing buyers and there's tenant buyers for the lease option. So we need those kinds of buyers. Then we need private lender money. We got to get private lender money. And I'm really good at doing that. And then we need joint venture people, doctors that are bored out of their minds with the stock market and they want some money on Main Street. They want to dabble in real estate investing. So those are the 4 things. And I would just put that on the wall and I say, how can I get more motivated sellers? How can I get 3 types of buyers? How can I get more private lender money? And how can I get more joint venture partners?
Boom. That's the key to success, guys. So I appreciate Brian for that. Gabe, thanks for getting this thing going. And everybody, see you next time.
See ya.